The High Council chamber fell silent the second Princess Vale raised her hand. Not toward the 7 noble suitors standing proudly before her throne. Not toward the powerful princes wrapped in violet and gold. But toward the back of the room. Toward the human. Marcus Webb froze, still holding a cleaning tool. Him. Her voice was calm. Clear. Final. For 3 seconds, no one breathed. Then chaos began. Elder Corvox's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Your Highness, this is unprecedented. The selection right demands you choose from sanctified candidates. Marcus swallowed. He had been cleaning energy conduits when the ceremonial doors sealed. No one could leave during the rite. He had tried. The guards had stopped him. Now every noble in the chamber stared at him like he was a disease. Princess Vale stepped down from her throne. Her silver skin glowed softly under the chamber lights. The ancient law states I must choose a mate from those present in the chamber, she said evenly. It does not specify rank. It does not specify species. She looked directly at Marcus. He is present. A noble prince stepped forward. Your Highness, this is a human janitor. Their species barely achieved interstellar travel. Vale's golden eyes hardened. And yet he is the only male in this chamber who did not arrive wanting my throne. The room went still. Marcus finally found his voice. Your Highness, I think there's a mistake. She turned to him gently. Are you married? No. Promised to another. He hesitated. He thought of Sarah. The grave on Earth. The transport accident. The silence of his apartment. No, he said quietly. There's no one. Something shifted in Vale's expression. Then by the laws of the Valanthi Empire, I choose Marcus Webb as my intended consort. Gasps filled the chamber. Duke Morven's voice thundered. The council will never ratify this insult. Vale smiled slightly. They have 30 days to object. She turned to the guards. Escort my intended to royal quarters. Marcus stood there, still holding his cleaning tool. He had come to work. He was leaving as a royal scandal. The palace prison. The guest quarters were larger than Marcus's entire housing unit. He stood in the center of the room, unsure what to touch. After an hour, the door chimed. An elderly Valanthi woman entered. Her silver skin was marked with Dark Age patterns. Marcus quickly bowed. You are the human my granddaughter has chosen, she said. He blinked. Granddaughter. The Dowager Empress. With respect, Marcus said, I didn't ask for any of this. She studied him carefully. You have cleaned the council chamber for 11 months. He nodded slowly. You never once tried to speak to her. Never tried to impress her. Never looked at her like the others do. She's royalty, Marcus replied. I'm a janitor. The Dowager's eyes softened slightly. That is exactly why she chose you. Marcus frowned. She has been hunted since birth, the old empress continued. Every smile hides ambition. Every gift hides debt. Every suitor wants power. She leaned forward. You looked at her and saw a person. Marcus's voice dropped. I wasn't indifferent. No. I just knew my place. The Dowager studied him in silence. And what place is that? Marcus met her gaze. The place of someone who already lost everything. For a moment, the Empress looked almost sad. The council will try to destroy you, she warned. They'll find nothing, Marcus said. There's nothing to find. She rose gracefully. My granddaughter has never been wrong about people. After she left, Marcus pulled Sarah's photograph from his pocket. He stared at it. I don't know what I'm doing, he whispered. The princess comes. 3 days passed before Vale visited him. She was dressed simply. No crown. No guards. Just a woman. You did not attempt escape, she observed. Should I have? Most would. Marcus shrugged. I've got nowhere to run. She studied him carefully. You are very calm. My life broke 3 years ago, he replied quietly. This is just another strange chapter. She hesitated. The selection right is a trap, she admitted. If I did not choose within 30 seconds, the council would choose for me. Prince Thexan. Yes. Marcus nodded slowly. So I was convenient. You were safe, she corrected. He looked at her. Why me? She hesitated. I watched you, she admitted. He blinked. You hum sad earth songs. You eat alone. You carry a photograph. He felt exposed. You noticed that. I notice everything. She stepped closer. You never once looked at me like I was a prize. He sighed. I'm still grieving my wife. I know. That startled him. I read your file, she said softly. Sarah. He swallowed. She died in a transport accident. Vale's voice softened. I am sorry. They sat in silence. It wasn't uncomfortable. It felt honest. What do you want? He asked. She looked genuinely surprised. No one has asked me that. Well. She took a slow breath. I want to matter to someone. Not my bloodline. Not my throne. Just me. Marcus nodded slowly. I understand that. She studied him carefully. Were you happy with her? With Sarah? He smiled faintly. Completely. And could you ever feel that again? He hesitated. I don't know. She nodded. Honesty, she said softly. That is all I ask. Before leaving, she placed her cool hand over his. A Valenthy gesture of deep intimacy. Marcus didn't pull away. The investigation. The council began tearing his life apart. Medical scans. Psychological evaluations. Genetic testing. Interrogations that lasted hours. They searched for weakness. They found nothing but grief. The Dowager Empress kept him informed. She argued before the council today, the old woman said one evening. She defended you for 3 hours. Marcus stared at the garden outside. She's making enemies. She has always had enemies. The final vote was set for dawn. Marcus made a decision. I want to address the council. The Dowager's eyes narrowed. That would be irregular. So is everything else. The speech. Marcus stood in the center of the council chamber. For the first time, not as a janitor. As a candidate. You may speak, Elder Korvox said. Marcus inhaled slowly. I'm not going to argue law. I don't understand your traditions. He looked around the chamber. I'm a janitor. A widower. A nobody. Murmurs spread. But here's what I've learned from being nobody. He looked directly at the nobles. People at the top spend so much time chasing power that they forget to see the person in front of them. Silence. You investigated me for weeks. But none of you asked what your princess actually needs. Several council members stiffened. She's drowning, Marcus continued firmly. And every one of you is either pushing her under or pretending not to see it. Outrage erupted. He raised his voice. You can deport me tomorrow. I don't care. He turned toward Vale. I don't know if I can be what you need. But I know what it feels like to be alone in a room full of people. Her golden eyes shimmered. You deserve better than a political cage. Complete silence followed. Then Vale stood. She walked down the steps. Stopped in front of him. You foolish human, she whispered. And she kissed him. Gasps exploded across the chamber. When she pulled back, her eyes were bright. I choose him, she said clearly. Again. The chamber fell into chaos. Session adjourned. Vote postponed to dawn. The night before the vote. Marcus sat with the Dowager Empress. She poured him a glowing alien drink. She loves you, the old woman said casually. He nearly choked. We've barely spoken. Valenthy do not open their hearts easily. But when they do, it is complete. Marcus stared at the liquid starlight in his glass. I'm still grieving. Grief does not forbid love, she said gently. It only makes it harder. A knock interrupted them. The council has reached a decision. Marcus stood. His hands were shaking. He was just a janitor. But tomorrow, he might change an empire. Or lose everything. The throne room felt older than history. The walls pulsed with slow blue light. Ancient symbols glowed like living veins beneath crystal stone. Nobles filled the galleries above, their silver faces tense. Marcus stood alone at the center. He had never felt smaller. Princess Vale stood beside the empty imperial throne. She wore deep violet ceremonial robes. Her silver skin shimmered softly, but her eyes were tired. Elder Korvox stepped forward, holding a ceremonial scroll. The council has completed its vote. Every breath in the room seemed to stop. Marcus did not look at the nobles. He looked at Vale. Korvox continued. After extensive debate and review of the original rite texts, we have determined that the human Marcus Webb qualifies under the ancient law. Murmurs rippled across the chamber. The selection is upheld. By a vote of 7-5, Marcus Webb is recognized as intended consort to Princess Vale of the Valanthi Empire. The room erupted. Some shouted in anger. Some in disbelief. A few, surprisingly, applauded. Marcus barely heard them. Vale exhaled slowly, like someone who had been holding her breath for weeks. She stepped toward him. "It seems," she whispered softly, "you are difficult to remove." He gave a small smile. "I used to scrub acid corrosion off starship hulls. I'm stubborn." For the first time, she laughed. And that was when the lights went out. The assassination. The chamber plunged into darkness. Not dimmed. Not flickering. Total black. Screams echoed from the galleries. Marcus reacted before thinking. Years of working in maintenance had trained him to move when systems failed. He grabbed Vale's arm. Down. Energy bolts sliced through the darkness. Blue plasma flashed across the chamber. The throne exploded into shards of glowing crystal. Guards shouted. Nobles panicked. Marcus pulled Vale behind a fallen pillar. "Stay behind me," he said. "You are not my shield," she protested. Too late. More plasma bolts fired. Targeted. Precise. Someone wasn't attacking randomly. Someone was aiming for her. Marcus spotted faint movement near the upper balcony. Dark armor. Not Royal Guard armor. This was planned. He scanned the wall beside him. Emergency conduit access panel. Of course. He smashed it open. Sparks burst. "What are you doing?" Vale demanded. "Improvising." He ripped free 2 energy couplers and jammed them together. The overload surged through the chamber grid. Suddenly the emergency lights flared back on. The assassins were exposed. 3 masked figures on the balcony. Council gasped. Guards fired. 2 assassins fell. One leapt from the balcony, blade extended, not toward Marcus. Toward Vale. Marcus moved without thinking. He stepped into the path. The energy blade pierced his shoulder. White pain exploded through him. But he did not fall. He grabbed the assassin's wrist. Humans were weaker than Valanthi. But humans were stubborn. He twisted hard. Bone cracked. The blade fell. The assassin tried to pull free. Marcus slammed his forehead into the masked helmet. Once. Twice. The assassin collapsed. Marcus dropped to one knee. Blood soaked his ceremonial tunic. Vale caught him before he hit the floor. "Marcus." Her bioluminescence flared violently, bright gold flooding her skin. Royal Guard finally surrounded them. Elder Korvox stared at the unconscious attacker. "This was not random," he said coldly. "No one said Duke Morven's name. But everyone thought it." Marcus forced himself to stay awake. "Guess. I'm not boring," he muttered. Vale pressed her hand over his wound. Her touch glowed faintly. "You foolish human," she whispered, voice breaking. "You stood in front of an energy blade." He gave a weak smile. "You looked like you needed someone." The truth comes out. Marcus survived. Human physiology confused Valanthi doctors. His heart was slower. His bone density higher. The blade had missed vital organs by centimeters. "Lucky," the physician said. "No," the Dowager Empress corrected quietly. Human. The assassin lived long enough to speak. Under interrogation, he confessed. Duke Morvin had funded the attack. If Vale died, succession would reopen. If Marcus died, the council might reconsider. Morvin had calculated both outcomes. He did not calculate one thing. A janitor willing to bleed. The arrest was public. Morvin protested loudly. But evidence was undeniable. Frozen accounts. Encrypted transmissions. Weapon signatures. The Empire watched. For centuries, nobles had manipulated quietly. Now the corruption was exposed in front of everyone. Vale stood before the full council 3 days later. Marcus stood beside her, arm in a healing brace. You said this human was weak, she addressed the chamber calmly. You said he was unworthy. She gestured toward him. He had every reason to run. He had no political gain. No ambition. No throne to inherit. Her voice sharpened. He stood anyway. Silence filled the chamber. That, she continued, is strength. Elder Korvox lowered his head slightly. The Duke will be stripped of title and exiled to the outer colonies. Shock spread through the nobles. That punishment had not been used in generations. The old order was cracking. HFY, the turning point. News of the attack spread across the Empire. Then beyond it. Human networks picked it up. A human janitor saves alien princess. It became a symbol. Humans were still considered new, small, inexperienced. But now there was something else. Reliable. Loyal. Dangerous when pushed. Trade representatives from Earth requested formal treaty discussions. Military analysts began quiet conversations. The Valanthi Empire realized something important. Humans were not powerful because of technology. They were powerful because of choice. Marcus could have stepped aside. He did not. And that frightened people. In the best way. The quiet conversation. One evening, weeks after the attack, Marcus stood again on the palace balcony. 3 moons rose slowly over the alien horizon. Vale joined him. You changed everything, she said softly. He shook his head. You were already changing it. I just stood in front of a blade. She studied him. You chose to risk your life for someone not of your species. He gave a small shrug. Love doesn't check passports. She smiled faintly. In Valanthi history, no consort has ever altered council structure. What did I alter? Everything. She explained quietly. The assassination had forced transparency reforms. Council votes would now be public record. Financial audits mandatory. Selection right laws clarified to remove manipulation loopholes. You were never meant to survive politics, she said gently. Humans are hard to remove, he replied. She stepped closer. You still carry her photograph. Yes. Does it hurt? Less now. He looked at her carefully. Is that unfair to you? She shook her head. You loved once with your whole heart. That tells me how you will love again. He hesitated. I don't want to replace her. I do not want to replace her, Vale said softly. I want to stand beside who you are now. He reached for her hand. Warm human skin. Cool silver glow. I'm still broken, he admitted. So am I. She rested her forehead gently against his. Then we will build something new with broken pieces. The wedding that meant more. The ceremony was smaller than tradition demanded. Vale insisted. No grand spectacle. No political show. Only witnesses who mattered. The Dowager Empress watched with quiet pride. Elder Korvox stood as officiant. Marcus wore white, human custom. Vale wore silver and gold. But woven through her hair was a small blue ribbon. Earth blue. Ocean blue. Sarah's favorite color. Marcus noticed. His throat tightened. The vows were spoken in both languages. He stumbled over Valanthi phrases. She guided him patiently. When the bonds were sealed, the chamber remained silent for a moment. Not in shock. In reflection. Elder Korvox addressed them. The selection right was created to ensure true partnership, he said. Over time, we forgot that. He looked at Marcus. You came with nothing. Then at Vale. You risked everything. He folded his hands. May this union remind us that strength is not inherited. It is chosen. A new future. Months later, reforms continued. Human Valenthy trade expanded. Joint research initiatives began. Cultural exchange programs opened. For the first time, humans were invited into council advisory roles. Not as servants. As partners. Marcus never became a politician. He refused formal power. Instead, he focused on infrastructure reform, maintenance systems, labor rights, worker protections. Empires collapse from neglected foundations, he once told Vale. Guess who understands foundations? She smiled. My impossible human. Final scene. On the same balcony where everything once felt uncertain, Marcus stood with Vale as dawn broke. The empire below them stirred awake. Ships moved in silent lines through the sky. He no longer felt like a janitor out of place. He felt like a man who had chosen to stay. You know, he said quietly, 3 months ago I was cleaning energy conduits. And now? Now I'm married to an alien princess and accidentally helped reform an empire. She leaned into him. You did not reform it. No. You reminded it what it was supposed to be. He thought about that. About grief. About loneliness. About standing in front of a blade. About choosing someone. Maybe that was humanity's greatest strength. Not conquest. Not weapons. Choice. He wrapped an arm carefully around her shoulders. She rested her head against his chest. 2 different species. 2 different histories. 1 decision. Below them, the empire moved forward into something new. And this time, it moved forward together.